Welcome back to the channel. We're going over the SP 500, the Nasdaq 100, exactly what is going on with the market. We had an awesome rally on the day, breaking above our local highs, and it looks like earnings season is being kind to us. Before we get into exactly what I see happening over the next few hours and the next day or two, I have to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing. I'm making these videos daily so you know what's happening, key zones to be watching, and how you should be trading the market to be profitable in this market, specifically when it comes to day trading. Now we're going to get right into the Nasdaq and what happened here. I'm going to go to the 15-minute chart so we can hopefully break this down as easy as possible. So basically for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 weeks, you've been trending below this local range of 12.2, and we've been talking about why that is so important, and we've been waiting for this break. You've been making higher lows along this whole way, just waiting to get that break to the upside. Now, is this guaranteed that you're going to keep going? I would have to say no, but I see more upside coming through the rest of this earnings season going into next week, most likely before you get any rate hike or GDP information as well. So what's going on? You're breaking through this level. We talked about it yesterday. You got that rejection. I mentioned how I made a mistake. I played it a little bit too aggressively then. And then I mentioned from yesterday what into this level. I mentioned the significance of the level of 11.85 down to about 11.75. Why was that so important? Why were we watching it? And why ultimately did this cue you for a pushback to these ranges? Now we can see this 11.85 range, 11.75 being a major support, which comes in here was a resistance. Boom, you get above it. You start mounting, come back down, support, holding above, support, holding above, and then boom, you finally break below. Then it becomes a resistance, back and forth. And ultimately, you sit there right here. You don't come back to it. You test, higher, low, and then the rest is history. Today was nothing but upside. Now, what I want to highlight again, I always say this in a lot of my videos. If you're not following on Twitter, I recommend doing so. Today was a very calm, quiet day for me. 3 hours ago, about lunchtime, you had a 296 push on QQQ. I said, you're probably going to fill that gap right there at 299. That's what I said. What happened on QQQ? As we come back, we can see that was about right here. From there, you get a massive breakout from here all the way to 298, came back down, and now you're roughly almost filling that gap. What are the other big pieces of news surrounding right now? Netflix. I talked about this play yesterday. I said most likely, I feel like they would probably beat earnings. A big surprise coming out of the gate here. And looking at what they're saying, they basically did. So if you look at what's going on here, this is their statements. Netflix Q EPS was a beat. Sales was a miss. However, the big thing was the users. They expected to lose 2 million users. They only lost 979, I believe it was. However, yes, that's still a lot of users to be missing. However, you cut that in half, so it was quote unquote bullish. Yes, quote unquote. So you have a little bit of upside going on here. Now, for me and personally in Discord, I didn't call out too many trades today. What I want to mention, Jay Ream did. Jay Ream had some very big plays on the day. Jay Ream had Netflix. I ended up having 2 of these right here. This morning, the 300 calls at 4.1. You actually get an opportunity to get them below like a 3.8 if you wanted to. Those at the end of the day were above $5 almost. I think about 4.90 roughly. And then after this, they're probably going to run even more. But these are all the way for November. Earlier in the day as well at market open, he had NVIDIA 165 calls. He put one at 3.5 and the last one at break even. Absolute moon ticket. Congratulations, Jay. Killed it on the day. And that's what we have, me and Jay. So it's not just me. So if I'm coming to the market and I'm not feeling it that well, I have someone I trust. I have someone that I can have faith in the market as well. I take Jay's trades as well because we have so much faith in each other's trades and how we view the market. So what's going on here? Netflix obviously pushing. Tesla earnings are tomorrow. Earnings after earnings, they're all coming. This is going to be pretty interesting. Tesla looking like a very interesting, looks like it wants to have a breakout. Looks like you want to get a test of 865. You want to come back to this range, but we have to wait and see what happens here. But the key point here is the Nasdaq. This is what I'm watching for. I want to highlight something that we'll be looking for in the after hours specifically. I'm going to bring this all the way down to about 12.2. I'm going to be looking for a retest of this zone and how you react to that 12.2 area, because this is going to tell you how strong you really are. Now, I did say in Discord as well, I figured if you got the Netflix beat, Netflix would lead the market and you wouldn't really get a retest. So if you get any retest, in my opinion, that's awesome. But I do believe going into tomorrow, you look incredibly bullish. And where is that upside to, ladies and gentlemen? We are targeting locally 12.55 all the way to 12.8. This is our next key level up here. And at least I believe you're going to get a test of 12.4 to 12.5 in a hurry as well, but not be surprised if you gap up quite a bit on Qs and SPY. That's what we're looking at there. Now, when we come over to some of the big indicators, what was happening today? The big difference between yesterday's push and today's push. Yesterday, what was happening? Downside on ES all day long. Today, nothing but upside. That's why in Discord, I was telling everyone, you can't really get calls here because you're getting to those high levels, and that's why I wasn't feeling comfortable. However, you continue to push up all day long on that 9 EMA. So if you were ever bearish on the day, there was really no reason because you just continued to push all day long, never even really retesting the VWAP. Going back over, you can see, let's look at SPY really quickly. You had the initial drop to start the day, or actually like a little bit of a drop from yesterday. You kind of gapped up and held the daily. But after that, on the 15-minute, nothing but upside, continuing to hold those key levels. Again, going over this very much in detail in Discord as well. Now you're making that triple top, 1, 2, 3. I anticipate somewhat of a gap to try to fill in this level going into tomorrow, 401, 400. I have to side with the bullish momentum going into the next trading day. Specifically from Netflix's earnings, I do think this is going to hold up the market. I think it's going to prop us up preparing for some of these next earnings. Now, Meta also announcing very big things on the after hours. If you don't know, Meta just announced they're reportedly shifting focuses from the news products and will focus more on the creator economy, which is definitely creating more ways for these guys to make more money in the market and to actually have a better outlook when it comes to the market as well. But you're seeing all these stocks come back to these key ranges, 176, Microsoft back up 260, Tesla, you're pushing back to this key range about 755. Everything's back at that breakout point. Once this breaks out, remember, we anticipate a lot of volatility. The key one I want to look at is the big 6, and it's looking like it wants to push out of this wedge. You get out of this wedge, you will start pushing a lot higher, and you will start pushing very fast. Key stocks I want to keep an eye on. 1, Google. I am anticipating and I am looking for a touch back above into this range right here, around 117 to 119 locally. Google, one of my favorite picks right now. Going into NVIDIA, you have the chip bill being passed very soon. I'm looking for that gap to be filled locally around 177 all the way to 180. You can come in here about to the 15 minutes to get a better look at this. And you can see this is the range you are looking for. So keep these on your radar and definitely be watching these plays specifically. I'm not a huge fan of AMD, so I'm not going to talk about that. But overall, those are my favorite plays right now. Another big one is going to be Amazon, which is going with nothing but straight up momentum. I think this has room to easily test 122 to 121 on the day tomorrow. So you can see by my stance, I'm looking at the market from a very bullish stance, and it continues to stay here. You can see on the after hours, NQ continue to push. What were the big indicators telling us? So junk bonds, yields, what was going on here? Junk bonds. So all day yesterday, we saw nothing but downside. I mentioned how that should have been a key indicator for sells. Looking at today, nothing but upside here on junk bonds. Up, up, up. On the end of the day, you kind of mounted that weekly, but you still look very bullish. The 10-year, 20-year yields going on here. The yields are slowly going up right now. Now, what I want to see for a confirmed area of you're getting just a slight bounce on the market, and then I want to see more continuation to upside or to downside, right? So what am I looking at for a sign of more downside to come? These yields popping back up around 3.25 and higher. You also want to see the yield inversion, the US 10-year versus the US 30-year. You want to see this getting back above the key range. You're sitting at 95%, which we need to be talking about. You're still very close to inverted. You never got back below 90%. So this is going to be working its way back up. But you're seeing the smaller yields definitely creep up on the larger and higher time frame yields, which still is very bearish in my opinion. Going to DXY, looking here, you got some downside here. But in my opinion, again, you could easily just retest the previous highs you had right here, which would still be a bullish structure like this, coming back down and then bouncing back up. Before we go any further in the video, I want to give a special thanks to the sponsor of this video, Hankatrade. They recently reached out to me and were interested to see if you guys were interested in using them as a broker when it comes to futures and when it comes to foreign exchange markets. So all this will be through Bitcoin, just so you know. So when you deposit this, there's no problems in or out, and there's no confusing forms or anything like that, just so you know. But you know, when it comes to me, when it comes to trading, what am I looking at? I want to know, can they do exactly what I want them to do as far as fills and executions, and how is their customer support? Now, I have already set up an account with these guys, and I've been in the talks and works with HankaTrade for over 2 weeks, and I have been testing their platform before they even came to the channel. So you can rest assured that I actually have looked and done my research into the company before doing anything or proceeding further with them as well. So if you are interested in trading with Forex or anything like that, it goes all the way to 500% leverage, which is absolutely insane, and I would never recommend using that much leverage, but it is up to you. I always stick with the lower end of leverage and let my money build on itself. HankaTrade also allows you to never exceed a negative amount, so you can never borrow anything that you do not have, and you will never owe them anything. That's a very big topic for me specifically here, because I never want you guys, the investor, to be in danger. But let's get back to the video. That's what you're looking for here. So on this downside, you're looking for upside on the actual market, and then you're going to look for an overall top to come in around GDP and the rate hike decision. These are all things we need to be looking at. But again, this is what I'm looking at on the market. Come right back over to NQ. NQ is ready. It's hitting back to this illiquid area. My opinion, a test of 12.55 is almost imminent. It's going to be coming in a hurry, so make sure you're watching out for 12.55 when it comes to the indexes. I see massive upside, a nice push coming at the very minimum. Tesla's earnings will be very big tomorrow. We need to be talking about that as well. Now, going into cheddar flow, what's happening here? I'm going to talk really quickly about the SPY and what's going on with QQQ as far as the call and put flow. It's a 1.0 on the QQQ. That got more bullish near the end of the day. Same for SPY. What about for VIX? Looking here, VIX, they're expecting more downside. So we have a bullish outlook on SPY, a bullish outlook on QQQ, and a bearish outlook on VIX. Looking at VIX, coming into VIX, what's happening here? If you break below this level, you break and hold below $24, in my opinion, the market rally will get pretty violent towards the upside. You can see we've held this 24 region on VIX since basically back to mid-April. This is how long we've been in this range. And so if you hold below and get below this, I anticipate a lot of bullish momentum and a lot of rallying on indexes, especially into next week. Now you start pushing back up. Again, it's just queuing up, in my opinion, for a dip into GDP or preparing for that. So I'm going to be watching this very, very closely. ES is coming right into its key range as well near the end of the day. Again, you start breaking above these local highs, and this is for all you SPY fanatics out there. You're looking for a test about 4,000 on ES, another big push back to this key range as well. So this is what you're looking for. If you can actually start getting some of that pressure, you're looking for that pressure right there locally. 4,000 all up to around 430. That's where I'm looking at here. That's what we want to see, and that's how the market's moving. Very strong overall movement. I was just a day early when it came to some of these calls, but you're seeing it flow into the market now, and you're seeing every one of these stocks pushing towards key levels. That's the big thing here. Now, I want to show really quickly on Bookmap and what's happening here as far as the overall strength and structure of the market. Again, we had a lot of people in Discord trying to trade puts at that key level, right? So when we go back over here really quickly to NQ, and I want to highlight our Discord isn't really for, just getting trades. Yes, you're going to get all of our trades, etc., things like that. However, it's going to help you develop and look at the market in a different way so you can make educated decisions at every level. Because there's sometimes when you get into this range up here that it's not really a shorting opportunity. If you get into this range and you're making higher lows the entire day, chances are you're going to go through it. If no sellers are showing up at that level, chances are it's not going to go back down. So these are key things that we're talking about in Discord. So I can mention the ranges here, but I can't cover the ranges live on YouTube because I make my videos at the end of the day. So that's what I'm looking at here. And so when you're in Discord and you heard us talking, we're like, we're bullish, we're bullish, we're bullish. This is why you were pushing up on NQ and you come back to ES. What was ES doing? It was moving even more bullish straight up. Then going to VIX, you were moving down, holding these key levels on the downside. That's what we were bullish looking here. Now, I want to highlight and going back over to Bookmap and showing what we saw here as well. Now, CVD was the interesting part here. I'm going to come out here really quick and just get rid of the icebergs. But when you look here, your CVD was going up all morning about till 10:30. Then it came back down, chopped. And then around 1 o'clock, nothing but upside, pushing back to those key ranges and those key highs. Now, what I want to mention very quickly are the iceberg orders coming in here as well, because this is an area that some people get a little bit confused on if you're not using this. But you can see, I want to mention and highlight, look at all these key levels beat, broken, 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 and you're probably going to try to break that 39.50 overnight. So you can see all these ranges were holding there for hours, and then they eventually were just bought straight through. Now, coming into the day, you saw a little bit of a dip when it came to some of that CVD as well. This typically happens at the end of the day. I want to highlight that. You just see it overall flatline and start to stagnate. But coming in here to the actual iceberg orders, what was I looking at here? This was very interesting. I mentioned this to Jay as well. You were seeing a lot of orders overall towards that buy side, even when CVD would drop. That's what was interesting to me. You saw a lot of, maybe they weren't major orders, but they were all 400 lots, 400, 500, 500, 600. Another small one right here, like more and more and more near the end of the day. Then after lunch, you can see them ramping back up once again. So all day long, they were buying and buying and buying. And if you watch the video from yesterday, I even highlighted at the end of that video, which how at the end of the day, big buyers were stepping back into the market. That's why I wasn't really buying it, and that's why I wasn't really playing any puts based on what was happening near the end of the day there. So as we look here, what's going on and what am I looking at for a quick synopsis of this market, what I'm looking at? NQ easily going 12.5, 12.45 in a hurry back up to this range. It's going to happen. You can see it's a total illiquid area, and it's just proving it right now. I anticipate a more upside until at least 12.6, 12.55. No resistance, in my opinion, until there. ES, you're going to be pushing close to 4,000 most likely by tomorrow, maybe the next day. I think 4,000 is a good level to be targeting. Hopefully get a little bit of consolidation in the after hours, and we start pushing up near pre-market going into tomorrow as well. That's what I'm looking at there. There's no real way to look at this any other way. I anticipate a lot of bullish behavior and bulls to be attacking the market specifically into tomorrow. That's how I'm looking at this. That's how I'm playing this. More upside most likely is coming. Big sleeper, in my opinion, is Tesla. I think it's just moving very slow. If we look at the 4-hour time frame before I let you guys out of here, I want to highlight how you've been moving on the past few weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, you basically sat in between 655 and basically 7. I really want to say 755 here to here. You bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's a $100 level. It's a $100 range. However, before this, you were getting straight down and straight up. In my opinion, you start getting this big break out of this zone, and it's looking extremely bullish if you can get the break out of this range. What I want to highlight here, though, before I let you out, with Tesla, so you know, they actually missed on deliveries for vehicles this quarter, I believe. However, the last month of the quarter, they announced that they actually made a record in deliveries, the most deliveries they've ever made in 1 month. I believe they're going to have a very bullish chance out of their earnings personally, citing how much they're growing, and they just announced their 2 millionth car delivered out of the Las Vegas plant as well. So in my opinion, looking at the market, it's looking like you're setting up for a strong bounce on everything going into the rate hike decision and the GDP decision. That's my personal opinion. The last area I want to talk about is going to be oil. Oil is breaking into a key area, 104, 105. I want to mention Exxon. Obviously, Exxon. I made a video a few days ago. $82 is your buy range down here, this key range down here. I made a big video about this. Exxon bouncing vigorously. What about Warren Buffett's favorite stock, Oxy? If Oxy can get above this key range, in my opinion, around 63, 67, 68, let's say 64 flat. If it gets above 64 flat, I anticipate this thing run rapidly back to $70 up to 69. Very, very quick. I basically anticipate a move to this range at minimum on Oxy if you get that break of that range, at least into this range right here. There's almost no liquidity in between this level. So once you break above this and you start to mount, it's a clear shot up locally to 68, almost 69. Keep them on your radar. Ticker symbol OXY. Warren Buffett just announced he owns 19, almost 20% of this entire company, and he bought the rest of his position right here a few days ago. Anticipating more upside. He hasn't sold anything, and he's been buying for months. Keep a lookout. More videos coming, and make sure you like and subscribe for daily videos.